Let me tell you why I love Anchor. Like, seriously, everybody knows, that who listens to my podcast, that I'm a newbie. And I haven't had my podcast that long. But the reason why I love Anchor is because one, it's so easy. It's free and everybody love free. There's creation tools that you can record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. I'm always on my phone. Even if I'm on the go, I can record my podcast. I can edit my podcast. They distribute to all the streaming services, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Like, they do all of that for you within the app. You can make money from your podcast, no minimum listenership. Everything you need to know to make a podcast is in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's so easy. Like, if I can do it, anyone can do it. If you're passionate about something, make a podcast. It's so easy. And you can talk all day about whatever it is that you're passionate about. So go ahead and go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey, welcome to That Shit Was Poetic, where we touch on all things poetic, like music, poetry, art, movies, quotes, and famous poets. I'm your host, Nikki. So yeah, let's get into it. How was you guys' week? My week was really good. I've been entertaining myself. I've been making tons of videos. I've been active with my family. I've been off of work, but I had a really good week thus far, though. It's not over yet. We still got the weekend to go, so I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to having some game fun with my family. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Hope you guys are enjoying your week and, doing a lot of different activities and manifesting and, just being positive and trying to move forward. But on today's podcast, I want to share two beautiful works of poetry art I want to share with you guys, so stay tuned for that. And my question of the day is, when did you fall in love with poetry? When did you realize that poetry was something that, is a part of you or that you enjoyed or you like listening to poetry? I want to know, when did you fall in love with poetry? So download the Anchor app and follow That Shit Was Poetic and leave us a comment to today's question. When did you fall in love with poetry? I feel like poetry can be therapeutic if you allow it. I think sometimes we look to people to be that therapy for us, but all along it's within you if you let it take place. So I want to encourage you to write down your feelings and allow it to become that thing that you gravitate towards. When you're feeling low, poetry doesn't have to be a stellar performance or written in ways that you think that it should be written, that you see published in popular magazines or books. I think sometimes people who write are coming from a place within. But don't let it intimidate you. Let it be something that's, natural or organic. Sometimes I find when I'm writing, I'm in a space or in a mood. I have a thought that comes to mind. And, sometimes that's how I start my poems off. It may come back to me later. I'll start it off if I have a feeling or something like that, something that comes to mind. But overall, I don't let it take me to a place where I feel I have to make it a certain length or a certain way. It's all about a vibe or a feeling. So I want to encourage you, when you're writing, don't get intimidated. Don't be afraid to just, lay it all on paper. I want you to explore those feelings that you have within. If something comes to your mind, put it down on paper. You can also manifest that way. If it's something that you want in life, put it down on paper, and I promise you, come back to it later and see what manifested. That's the same as with your feelings. Put it all on paper And sometimes that can be therapy. You can work through those things. So I'm so excited to share with you all this piece today. It's from an artist, a music artist and spoken word artist. His name is StonedwithCupid, and he's from Barbados. And you can find his music as well as his spoken word on Spotify. All one word, Stoned with Cupid. So look him up and check him out. I'm so excited to play this for you guys. This is my gift to you all for supporting my podcast. I really appreciate you all. So hope you enjoy it. This work of art is called Woman.
We know our history. Better yet, we know his story. But what about her story? What about the givers of life that we have removed constantly from the pages of our heritage with no cause? It seems we have become numb to the touch of the feminine persona. Behind every war and every warrior, behind every war and every soldier, they've been about warrior back into a corner, the heart of a woman has been a part of our culture. And if Africa is the motherland, then Barbados is the bastard child, birth on the plate of the lesser man, the daughter of the blacker man, blacker than the night when the lights of hope have been pinched out. Yet still you hear me shout about their love, their love, their love for their woman.
I love how he acknowledges and gives love to a woman and the history of a woman. I love how he gives a reminder that the woman is the backbone of every great man. So I really enjoy that poem. Hope you guys like that special treat that I have for you all. If you all enjoy that piece, please log on to Spotify and download Stoned with Cupid, all one word, Stoned with Cupid. Again, his work is on Spotify. If you want to check his music out or you want to check his spoken word out, dope artist. So I appreciate, him allowing me to put his spoken word on my podcast. So thank you so much. We're going to take a very short break, but we'll be right back. So stay tuned. So, hey guys, I have a special guest today, and it's actually my mom, and we call her Storm. So, she's going to be reading a piece that she wrote today, but I'm going to go ahead and ask her a few questions if that's okay with you all. So, hi, Storm.
Hello,
how are you?
Hello. What's happening?
I'm glad to have you in the building today.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
So, my first question is, how did you get the name Storm?
Wow. Interesting. Okay, so I actually named myself Storm a few years ago. Some people may think it's a little dark how I chose the name, but when you look up the word storm, it says a disturbance of the normal atmosphere. Well, life can sometimes be disturbing. Situations, circumstances can sometimes be disturbing. So, when I thought about storm, I put it in the context of my mood and how my mood changes from day to day or at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the name Storm suited my personality. So yeah, that's how I came up with the name.
Interesting. You don't hear too many people go by that name, Storm. It's almost like, weather the storm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Nice. So give us a little bit of your background, who Storm is. Like the viewers want to know who Storm is.
Who is Storm? Well, I'm from the East Coast, Jersey to be exact. Shout out to Jersey. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. I love to laugh. In my next life, I'm going to do comedy, stand-up comedy. People tell me all the time I miss my calling, that I should be doing stand up. But yeah, that's a little bit about my background. I moved over here maybe about 3 years, 3 good years now. Yeah, so I'm a newbie, and I'm loving LA. I'm still a newbie, so I'm still learning about it every day, and every day since I've been here, it's just been a blessing. Like coming from the East Coast, it's like hustle and bustle daily. So living here has been more of I've had the opportunity to relax and to actually process more. You know what I mean? So alongside of the weather, everybody love LA, Los Angeles, California. So yeah, that's Storm. That's my background.
So, when did you fall in love with poetry?
You know what? I always enjoyed poetry readings. I would go like back on the East Coast, and I know you guys have it over here. But I would go like to the library and just to poetry events, and I would hear people reading their poetry, and I was always just intrigued by that. And I always loved, and this to tell my age a little bit, but I always loved Nikki Giovanni. Um, and I kind of would name my daughter somewhat Nikki from Nikki Giovanni. But honestly, um, I'm more of a storyteller, a story writer, and I always assumed that poetry was about rhyming.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was never able to, I would write something, but I always felt like it needed to be in the context of a rhyme. So I was never able to do or write poetry. And then many, many years, it began to come to me that poetry was, you live poetry. Poetry is whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be put in any type of fashion. But I am more of, I love journaling. So I would say not so much that I'm a poetry writer or that I write poetry. I journal and I'm a storyteller.
And I can attest that I've always loved your stories growing up. She told really good stories, and me and my sister, we enjoyed her stories. Me and the family, when my cousins would come over, she would tell us scary stories. And now her grands, my son, she would tell us, like really, really good stories, especially stories about her past. So I can say I really, really love her stories, and I can agree she's a storyteller. But how long would you say that you've been a storyteller?
I've actually been taking notes, I would say, since I was a little girl. Like my siblings used to call me a tattletale because I would listen to their conversations, and I would take notes and I would write down everything. And I always had a book with me. I always had a book. So I've been making up stories and writing, but I never really saved anything. Like when I tell a story, like I remember my kids used to love, and I said this before, they loved when I used to tell a story, but I still journal, and sometimes I'll get the motivation and I'll journal every day, but then sometimes that motivation is gone and, I won't write anything. But I've always liked to write.
Okay, so let's go ahead. This is a different question. Um, Outside of what I've been asking you, what is your passion in life?
My passion in life is children. I am very passionate about the well-being of children. And once I become rich and famous, I'm gonna open a charity. I'm gonna have a charity for abused children. But I've always had like a insight, if you will, to children. You know what I mean? Like I could be walking down the street, be with my family, and I could see a kid and maybe with their parent or what have you, and I could get a feel of if that kid is all right. Somehow or another, me and that kid, I make eye contact, or I just get a feeling. And sometimes I'll stop And my kids will tell me sometimes, like, "Ma, you just can't be doing that," because I want to make sure every kid is okay. I think I don't know where that insight comes from, but I get a strong connection with kids. Most of my previous jobs, all of my jobs have been working with children or young adults. But excuse me, I always want to just make sure children are all right physically and mentally. Um, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Interesting. So, if you could write a poem about anything in the world to help someone, what would it be geared towards helping them with?
Probably mental illness. Probably mental illness, or again, like I said, it would definitely be in relation to children and ensuring the well-being of children.
So, how long have you been working with children?
You know what? I've worked with children all of my life. All of my life. I remember my first summer jobs. Even with my mom worked at a daycare when I was a little kid, and I would go to the daycare and help out there. And then when I was able to, 16 and able to get my own working papers, I started out in daycares at summer program, the Boys and Girls Club, library aid. I've worked at for 13 years with individuals with substance abuse and mental illness, and I'm very passionate about that, and I think that it's just something that I was born with. My connection with children and young people is just so strong that I love it. I love it.
That's cool because not a lot of people are able to do, that type of work. So, I commend you for, that being your passion and your gift and, just being able to be a person in the world that, a child can look up to and, you can just pass that along.
Yeah, definitely God's gift. I believe God gave me the instinct and the gift of love for children and young people.
Have you ever had your own, business or anything like that, working with children, or has it always just been in working in the field of, helping kids?
I actually did. I actually, for a little while, my family and myself, and a couple of friends, we ran a program out of my apartment. And the name of the program was Colored Girls on the Rise. And we did arts and craft, we did poetry, we did art, just different projects. And it's always been about giving young people somewhere, giving them an outlet. And so I just opened my doors, and I lived in this building, and had a lot of kids in it. I just opened my door, and the kids would come in. Halloween, we'd have parties and things like that. So I've always been involved in something in relation to helping and guiding the young people.
That's really cool, really cool. I want to, commend you again for having that talent and just being a blessing in this world for children. What poem would you be reading for us today? What's the name of the poem?
Wow, you know what? I don't have my poem. I really don't have a title for the poem. If I can just, I have a lot of notes, guys. Like I said, I jot down different things. So I'm gonna find that poem here.
It's okay because a lot of my pieces I don't have titles to, and I just sometimes just freestyle it, and I'll just give bits and pieces, but sometimes I don't have titles, yeah. And it's okay.
Yeah, it's funny because I was just jotting down things, and like I said in the past, I've always thought poems should rhyme, and I was just writing, and I don't know. I just hope you guys like this piece. It's actually the first completed piece that I've done. So I'm gonna find it, and I'd love to read it. All right, so here it goes. Again, it's untitled, so I hope you guys like this. I do not remember the time nor the year you slivered yourself into my consciousness. I only recall the fear, the anxiousness, and all feelings of ugliness you left each time you decided to leave, to invade and manipulate your way into another being. I never missed you. In fact, I applauded and prayed that you would never return. Unfortunately, that prayer seemed to be floating into thin air amongst all the other prayers I had released. I told myself I would be prepared on your next visit as I became accustomed to your return. I felt your return, and this time something felt different. You appeared, and I felt nothing. And then it happened. I boldly stood, and as I began to speak, my voice became strong, and I felt an incredible strength. And this is what came out of my mouth. I release you. I am liberated from you. I no longer give you permission to invade my space. Your entryway to my being has expired. Every soul you have entered has barred you. You are now alone. Goodbye, anxiety.
Wow, that shit was poetic. You know, I really, listening to that poem, different things came to my mind, and anxiety definitely was not one of them. But that was really, really good that you were able to, write something so beautiful like that, and, you know, it be about anxiety. Can you share a little bit about, maybe some experiences or, what you were feeling when you wrote that piece?
You know what? I know so many people that suffer with anxiety, and I myself, from time to time, yeah, anxiety gets a hold of so many people, young and old. And I myself, from time to time, it creeps up within me. And I try not to really give it a name. I just know what it feels like. And I know it's such an ugly feeling. I feel like when you give it a name, it makes it so much more real. And so I try not to really call it anxiety, but it is what it is. But I feel like when you release something and you're so strongly about releasing it, then it can no longer harm you. You know what I mean? Or no longer invade your space. And so I think having experienced my experiences so often at times with it, I've released it.
So, what are some things that help you with your anxiety, and what are some things that you can help our viewers um, do to overcome their anxiety or just to help work through it?
What I do actually is write. I'll write down possibly what I'm feeling. It's almost like you can feel it creeping in. And I try to almost like beat it before it gets a hold of me. So I'll do some journaling, or I'll listen to some music, I'll meditate, but most importantly, I pray.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that because, I know that's something that's, very deep and personal for you, and sharing it with the viewers. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your courage and, helping someone who may be listening. So I wanna congratulate you on that. So thank you so much. But I wanna thank you for joining us today on That Shit Was Poetic. You have any last thoughts, or you want to talk about something that you may be doing in the future, or some things that you may be doing that the viewers can catch you on?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me. And definitely, if I can help somebody else that having those experiences dealing with anxiety, it was important that I be here today to put that out there. But I have a page, Facebook page, Surviving the Storm. You guys can check me out on that. Check me out on Instagram, Mush 2715. And just I'm out here in LA. Just trying to learn more about LA and enjoy the weather.
Okay, thank you so much for being here. Had a good time with you, and hopefully we'll have you on again. Maybe have some more pieces that you like to share with That Shit Was Poetic's viewers. So thank you so much.
Thank
So thanks for tuning in to That Shit Was Poetic. I'm your host, Nikki, and tune in every Friday for new episodes. To check out our old episodes, follow That Shit Was Poetic on all streaming services, Spotify or Google Play, or follow us on the Anchor app to leave a comment. To be featured in our podcast, email or DM us on thatshitwaspoetic@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram. Thanks for tuning in.